Hello, I'm Rick Joyner. Thank you for joining me for this special bulletin on national health care, which we are calling National Health Scare. And it is an alarm. We are trying to sound an alarm. I'm not being apologetic about it. And I know I'm making a lot of statements that are being called incendiary statements. They're intended to be. I think they're accurate. I think they're true. I wouldn't share them with you if I didn't think they were true and accurate. I believe if we sound the alarm, and if you sound the alarm, and enough people do, and this is spreading, that we can stop one of the greatest catastrophes in I believe, our nation's, in our lifetime, maybe in our nation's history. And we, right now, I know a lot of Canadians, and I know this goes to a lot of Canadians, and I've talked to a lot of Canadians and Europeans that love their national health care system. They really love it. Appreciate free health care for everyone. I have not personally talked to a single one yet who lives under national health care who liked it if they needed health care. The ones who love it are the ones who haven't really needed it yet, or have not needed it for anything major. And I share with you the friend, I don't want to give their name, but maybe they'll give me permission to. One girl in Canada is almost crippled by her back problems. It's on a 3-year waiting list just to see a specialist. Now, there are others that you may have seen on television, the boy who lost both of his legs. They became infected and had to amputate his legs for a simple thing that should have been dealt with easily and simply. But by the time he was able to even see a doctor, it had gone that far, he lost his legs. I mean, these are common issues when they're national health care. Now, with the best of intentions, the government does not manage anything well. They think they're going to save you money. I promise you, this is an absolute truth. Your health care will cost you many times what you're paying for it right now. I don't care what you're paying. I don't care how much you're paying. It is going to cost you many times. The government runs anything. It is going to be so inefficient, so ineffective. We don't want to start talking about all the examples we have of how the government run things, what a disaster it's going to be. It will absolutely end up in rationing of health care. Now, I made some statements in that special bulletin that went out all over. I made some bold statements about how Hitler and Stalin would have loved to have had a health care bill like this for euthanasia, for putting to death the ones they wanted to put to death. That could never happen in America. And I do believe that is an appalling thought to anybody who's trying to pass this health care legislation. I don't believe there's anyone in our Congress. I think they would be absolutely appalled with that thought that it could ever be used that way. It does open the door for it to be used that way. It will open the door. If you give the government that job to do, it will end up there in this country. I only believe it would be much worse than it was under Hitler and Stalin. And that may just be the most shocking thing to you, but with the technology we have today, it could be much worse. Now, let me give you some examples. Okay, now, there are many people that believe we already have a Holocaust in America. The Holocaust of abortion, where many have been killed in the womb. And this is what is called a culture of death. This is how it got into Nazi Germany. It started with abortion. This is one of the reasons why the pro-life movement is so adamant that we have to stop it here. Now, in Nazi Germany, I spent a lot of time in Germany studying all these things because I believe the Lord showed me back in right around 1990, as well as some other friends, that the very same principalities that took over Germany in the 30s were seeking to take over America. They would seek inroads to take over America. And Germany was one of the most educated, cultured, powerful nations on the earth. They had just lost World War I and were in a disaster because of that. But these were a brilliant people. And yet such evil was able to take them over. And the people were so deceived about it. This is true. Germans, after the end of World War II, that were in the cities that were closest to some of the death camps did not know what was going on in those death camps. They had heard the rumors, but they could not believe it. Absolutely could not believe anything like that could ever be done by anybody. The Jews had heard the rumors over and over for years. Many of them walked right into the gas chamber saying, it's not possible for human beings to do this to other human beings. It was possible. And it becomes even more possible when things are done a little more humanely. It became easier for them to do it to gas them than to shoot them. You know, it was just something needed to be done. It's war. They started with abortion, and then they started with all the retarded. You know, they gathered up in Germany in the 30s. The Nazis, when they came to power, said, listen, the state can do a much better job taking care of the retarded than you can your families, and we're going to take that burden off of you. So they took up all the retarded. No one ever saw them again. Never saw them again. Didn't know what happened to them. They were all killed. Then they went on to the elderly, to the infirm, to the gypsies. Nobody knew what happened to them. More and more. Then it was everyone that they called a useless eater. And then it was all the Jews. And this culture of death just grew and grew. And it was too late. You may have heard the one German who said, you know, when they came for the Jews, I didn't complain because I wasn't Jewish. When they came for the Catholics, I didn't complain because I wasn't a Catholic. When they came for the Union leaders, I didn't complain because I wasn't a part of a union. When they came for the Protestant, I didn't care because I wasn't a Protestant. When they came for me, nobody complained because there was nobody left. And it goes on and on. You have to stop here. Now, think about this. You know, partial birth abortion was made legal by our president, one of the first acts of his new presidency. Partial birth abortion. I mean, it sounds so benign, you know. You know what that is? That's when they bring the baby halfway out of its mother. And we know now by studies that these infants in the womb develop feelings, fear, peace, pain at a very early stage in the womb. They are alive. They're feeling things. They feel things from their mother. They feel things from their mother's environment. We know from all these studies, they're sentient beings. And they take the baby halfway out of the mother on the table, drill a hole in its skull, and suck its brains out. All in the name of, we're doing this to protect the health of the mother. How is that protecting the health of the mother? Why not take the baby all the way? To me, that is far more dangerous to the mother. That is an absurd, preposterous thing to say. Let me ask you, how could a mother let that happen to something that is grown in her womb? Even the animals, even the beast, the mothers would gladly sacrifice their own lives to protect their young. How could any doctor do such a thing? Think about how horrible this is. That baby's squirming. That baby is feeling what's going on. The panic, the fear, the pain. How could any doctor ever do such a thing? I need to ask the question, how could a president make one of the first things he does in his presidency signing a bill to allow that to go on? That's a culture of death. That's an instant, that is something that's beyond comprehension. Now, most people, they don't want to hear that kind of graphic description. It's the truth. This is already going on. How much easier, if they could do that to an infant, how much easier is it going to be to just deny the health that is needed by the elderly, by your parents? The first commandment with a promise, the only commandment with a promise, is to honor your fathers and mothers. Is that going to honor them? Listen, we really need to look at the consequences. Please check in the rest of these special bulletins. We're going to talk about some things we've got to talk about.